All right, Sunday afternoon fun. We get to talk about the 49ers and the entire 69-man roster. Yes, not just the 53-man roster, but also the potential 16-man practice squad. That is the totality of the deal that the 49ers are going to be creating here over the course of training camp heading into the regular season. And the practice squad has been more important than ever. You can call players up temporarily from the practice squad. There obviously are limits. It's 2 per season, but then you can make different kind of machinations during the year where you could permanently sign somebody from the practice squad, then cut them and maybe even bring them back to that 16-man practice squad. The point is that you can have 69, if not 70 guys in the building over the course of the season if you count the international exemption, and that's going to be Isaac Alarcon this season. And those guys can all be practicing. There are no rules beyond the 53-man roster as far as restrictions on practice. The 16-man practice squad can be out on the field as well. And then you can play the game and you could move guys up and down as works over the course of the season to make things function on Sundays when it comes time to play games. And the teams that do this well are the teams that have the deepest outfits, the deepest, most capable outfits. And the 49ers obviously have played 3 marathons now, 3 20-game seasons in a row, and they're hoping this is going to be another 20-game season entering 2024. So utilizing that full 69-man roster is going to be imperative for San Francisco. Obviously, right now, it is a 90-man roster, but they're going to have to cut this down. But the thing is, I have the 53-man projection, everything to the left side of the vertical dividing line. More than that's going to stay in the building. So when we project the 53-man roster, it's also important to keep practice squad potential in mind because those guys can be just as significant of contributors to the football team as guys on the actual active roster. It is very, very important to not forget that. There's going to be a lot of obsession with the 53-man roster, but the practice squad is extremely flexible. You should look at it almost like a taxi squad now in the National Football League. So the question today is going to be, are the 49ers the strongest in the league as far as this roster is concerned? And I think the key question to answer that is going to be, how much quality depth will the 2024 draft class provide? Because when you look at this roster, the 49ers have essentially brought back all of the key pieces, I would say, minus Eric Armstead as far as star power goes. And Armstead, they thought was already on the decline, given the fact that he had missed some time. It's 13 games over the past 2 seasons. But when you look at the teal, those are the veteran additions that the 49ers have brought in to replace some of the veteran departures. And in the case of Armstead, there's a lot of teal along the defensive line. They have actively, consciously decided to overhaul their D-line after some underperformance there, especially against the run last season. The green on this roster, those are the rookies. And I think that the veterans they've signed are going to provide plenty of quality depth, and we'll go through this position by position. But somebody like Malik Collins, proven player. Jordan Elliott, they think he's going to fit really, really well into the rotational stuff that they do. Leonard Floyd, he's really damn good. Floyd has been playing excellent football, 39.5 sacks past 4 seasons. Yetur Gross-Matos may be a dream fit for the 49ers. This could be what really, really kickstarts his career with his inside-out versatility. Anyway, you've got these veterans. You see their fits. They're proven commodities in the NFL. We know what these guys bring skill set-wise in relation to the rest of the league. It's the players shaded in green here, the rookies, who we cannot be as sure about. So the rookies, as you can see, especially when it comes to the 53-man roster, there's quite a bit of green here projected to make the team. How much quality depth will this draft class provide? Because here's the thing. The 49ers were definitely the strongest roster in the league last year. I don't think there was any question about that. Top to bottom, they had the star power. They had some good depth. Obviously, it's hard to retain depth season after season, especially that quality integrated depth when you're paying so many superstar players. So the way that the 49ers have had to recycle through this and prepare for this 2024 season is through an overhaul that involves some bargain bin free agency along the defensive line, some depth signings elsewhere, including tight end and linebacker, and the draft. The draft is, bottom line, the key way to replenish depth on a football team that really needs it for endurance purposes. There is high risk of a physical breakdown this year from the 49ers. And as there always is, from teams that are perennial contenders, they play longer seasons. They stretch into February, while a lot of the 49ers competition is wrapping up essentially in late December. I know they have a game in early January, but a lot of these teams have either checked out or they're going to a lot of young guys late in the season if they're not playoff contenders. The NFL, though, I mean, it's a league that's designed to facilitate a lot of parity. So even a team that's been 4-12 for the past couple of years, they can give you a really, really strong game in 2024. They can give you a run for their money. So if that team has been building and they're hungry and they've picked up some new, fresh players and they face a 49ers team that's played 60 games over the past 3 years, that's been through the ringer, has seen some gut-wrenching lows, obviously exhilarating highs, but all of that stuff can be exhausting. San Francisco, I mean, they're in a position where they're vulnerable. They can get caught off guard. Maybe it doesn't even have to be considered off guard. They could just get flat out beat by other professionals in the NFL if they don't maintain the spring in their step. And I think that that's where the green on here comes in, the rookies. How many of these guys can not only make the 53-man roster, but how many of them can also make the practice squad to where they can be valuable contributors? Maybe not immediately, because immediately the 49ers might have some good juice coming out of the gate. They typically have in September, but there might be a little bit of a lull in October and November. Can some of these rookies round into form down the stretch for San Francisco to give this team that second wind that could make it, again, the strongest roster in the league? Start with defensive back. I think this is the deepest they've ever been. And, you know, Charvarius Ward is going to be back. We've already eliminated George Kittle from the injury shading because we saw him full go at tight end U. I think that Mooney Ward is going to be full go for training camp. I don't think there's any question about that. But, you know, my main thing is the other corners in this room. Obviously, Deommodore Lenoir. Is he going to get an extension before this season starts? He's entering a lame duck contract year, just like Charvarius Ward, except for Ward, there's a lot of money involved. For Deommodore Lenoir, he's still playing on the rookie deal. So an extension ahead of time, you know, a lot of people talk about timing and 49ers extensions. For somebody like Lenoir, who I don't think is quite an A-list player yet, I think the extension might make sense a little bit sooner. You could put him into the same bucket as Dre Greenlaw, who signed his extension a little bit on the early side for San Francisco. And Dre Greenlaw, through that, was, I mean, I think the 49ers are able to get him at a really, really good rate. We're talking top 15 linebacker rate instead of a top 5 linebacker rate. And we know that Dre Greenlaw is damn good. So Deommodore Lenoir is entering a contract year. I'm wondering how the 49ers approach that, or if they let this play out behind him. Well, obviously with Renardo Green now aboard, with Isaac Yiadom on the football team. He played so well last year. Darrell Luter Jr., that's a dark horse name if there ever was one. Look out for Darrell Luter Jr. He looked really good in OTAs. Just a big, long body. Was derailed by the bone bruise last year as a rookie, but 5th-round pick, and we know the 49ers love their 5th-round picks out of South Alabama. I mean, this could be some true homegrown talent that gives the 49ers a nice boost on defense. Right now, he's unfortunately most known for the punt that bounced off his leg accidentally in the Super Bowl that turned that game around. But Darrell Luter Jr. is going to have a chance to make a name for himself in another regard. As far as depth goes and, you know, where a rookie might be able to offer the biggest immediate boost, maybe that safety position with Malik Mustafa. Because for a while, and maybe we still think this, but I'm not sure at this point, we thought the 49ers were certainly going to add a veteran safety. Remember, they hosted Rayshon Jenkins, Julian Blackmon, Justin Simmons, I think, is still a free agent right now. But Talanoa Hufanga is coming off the ACL, and it seems that his condition has improved over the course of the offseason. The rehab's still going well. He hopes to be ready for week 1 for the 49ers. Deshaun Gibson's still out there. They've supposedly been talking with him, but he's going to be 34 years old this year. So obviously the 49ers want to get younger. The question is, are they experienced and good enough right now with who they have in the building, assuming Talanoa Hufanga, his status is still in limbo, but assuming he comes back, are they good enough to feel comfortable at that safety position with Jair Brown and the man of the hour that I'm talking about, shaded here in green, Malik Mustafa? This is a great example of how much quality depth will the draft class provide. Can Malik deliver at multiple positions? Because his body is certainly built that way. Can he give the 49ers a little strong side linebacker action? Can he be a roving safety in some nickel packages? Remember they broke Talanoa Hufanga in 2021 as the third safety? Malik Mustafa might be cut from the same cloth, the product out of Wake Forest that the 49ers got there in that fourth round. So I think he's a hinge point. I think he is. And I think that it's cases like Mustafa's that will answer the question that's right beneath me on the screen. Moving forward to the linebacker position. I mean, they were so high on Dre Greenlaw coming out of OTAs. Out of D Winters coming out of OTAs. Dre Greenlaw, we project to be on PUP. He's coming off the Achilles. That's obviously a situation that we'll monitor. Devondre Campbell's the veteran who they signed to essentially fill in for Greenlaw for the time being. But how quickly can D Winters make that actual splash? Where's Ezekiel Turner going to fall into this? Is Ezekiel Turner just going to replace Demetrius Flanagan-Foles on this football team? Because he's a special teams ace. And I don't know if they can carry all these guys. I know that I have a lot of linebackers on the inside of the projection. That's mainly because Greenlaw is projected to go to PUP, so he won't take a roster spot for at least 4 games at the start of the season if that happens. But if the 49ers are indeed going to get better at the margins, somebody like Ezekiel Turner, who was really, really damn good on special teams for Arizona, he might take a 53-man roster spot. We might see a change in the guard there between him and Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. And where's Tatum Bethune going to fit into all of this? I wrote about Tatum Bethune the other day in what the 49ers are getting from both him and Renardo Green. Why don't we put this up on the screen? Got to make this a little bit skinnier so it looks nice. There you go. Bethune's on the right. Renardo Green's on the left. 2 Florida State products aiming to make this 49ers defense better immediately. Now, Bethune might be more of a special teams project. They are loaded at linebacker, but there is that injury. The guy's got awesome instincts. I think that you have to be always constantly thinking about a long-term succession plan at every position. And Tatum Bethune as a 7th-round pick, it's kind of like the whole Jalen Graham 7th-rounder the year before. D. Winters was the 6th-rounder the year before. You give him a season to work either on the practice squad or on the 53-man roster. And then when you have to cross some decision bridges after 2024, it's like, what do you do with Dre Greenlaw? You're starting to work into Fred Warner's contract here. I know you still have a number of years left, but you're always having to scan the future for potential contributors. And I think that Tatum Bethune definitely is one of them. So now, did you guys hear that? That's some thunder right there. I hope my mic picked that up. So I was in California. I flew overnight here to Nashville. There is not a trace of a cloud in the sky in San Francisco when I took off. I don't know how it's there today. Here, we landed and it was like 75 degrees at 4:45 a.m. I slept throughout the morning, and now it's probably a good 95, and I just heard a lot of thunder, things that happen in the South. I'm not used to this growing up in California, where it will not rain for like a 4-month period of the year. Anyway, let's open this back up. We're moving on to the defensive line. See if we get any thunder here during the show. Give me a thumbs up if you heard the thunder in the comment section. Yeah, you guys heard it? Good. Invader 49er heard it. Supposedly it's beautiful in San Francisco. Must be nicer than here, but it's good because I got a lot of work to do. I have a lot of writing to do. I have some stuff to get on top of, and I have this video to do, so I could just sit inside, talk right now. There's another one. I think it's getting a little bit further away. There was one that was like literally right above my head. Good thing I have a roof above my head right now. Okay, defensive line. So I talked about this a little bit with Elliott, Gross-Matos, Floyd, and Collins. As far as rookie depth or youngster depth, Kalia Davis, third-year guy. Evan Anderson, rookie. Shaquille Brown, second-year guy. I mean, one of these players, I really think the 49ers want one of these players badly to step up and turn into a run defending force on the inside. I think they've been missing that. I think they've improved with Gross Matos. I think Leonard Floyd plays above his weight class as far as setting an edge and run defense goes. But that interior might be a little bit soft against the run. That was one of the issues last year. See what Robert Beal Jr., second-year player, can do for the 49ers. As far as the offense and where you look at potential practice squad flexes and guys on the bubble that can help this football team, somebody like Jacob Cowing, I'm wondering where he's going to slot in, if he can immediately become a lightning rod for the 49ers offense, or if that's going to be something that takes a little bit longer. Dominic Purdy is an offensive lineman to watch. I wrote about Purdy with Lance Leopold the other week. This was a really, really insightful conversation. Lance Leopold is Kansas's head coach, and he faced Brock Purdy the year that he took over at Kansas. Here's the article. You can check that one out. How the 49ers Dominic Purdy fits the underdog story mold of Brock Purdy. So we talked to Leopold about Purdy, and then we talked about Dominic Purdy. And Purdy, when he came over from Central Missouri, that was his D2 program, he transitioned to the D1 level just fine. Didn't give up a single sack over those 2 years. They're actually more impressed with his pass blocking than his run blocking. That was at Kansas, and that's with the 49ers as well. But when we talk about depth and strength of the roster, then somebody like Dominic Purdy is an absolute must-have for the 49ers because he can play guard. Maybe he could even play center in the future. I know he filled in there in a pinch during the spring game for Kansas. Lance Leopold talks about that in the article, but he might even be able to flex out into tackle. I am not sure if the 49ers swing tackle situation will be better or worse than last year, but I do know that it has the potential to be significantly better because they've got Chris Hubbard, they have Brandon Parker, who looks healthy now. I don't know if Brandon Parker is going to remain healthy, but he's a former third-round pick of the Raiders who, when he's been healthy, has been a really solid player in this league, has not been a bad tackle. So they obviously no longer have Matt Pryor. They still do have Jalen Moore. He is I think the first in line right now to be the swing tackle, but both Hubbard and Parker, these are two veterans who have done some good stuff in the league that I think can make the 49ers better at that swing tackle position. But it's Purdy who could immediately slot in to one of those guard spots. And those were the weakness of the right guard spot, especially right guard and center. Those were weaknesses of this 49ers offense last year. Then I wonder about center. I wonder if John Feliciano, if Jake Brendel's still dealing with a knee tendonitis, if Feliciano gets more shots at center. If Ben Barch, who had some first-team action during the spring program, gets some action at center. That position did not play as well last year. Jake Brendel didn't have as good of a year in 2023 as did in 2022, so it is something to watch because it's a key position. And by extension, so is right guard, where the 49ers replaced Spencer Burford with John Feliciano. So, this part of the roster is fascinating to me, especially since they also have future guys in the pipeline. I think that Jarrett Kingston, Drake Nugent, Bryson Mays, all interior guys, Nugent and Mays are centers. I think they might be prospects geared for a little bit further into the future, but you absolutely cannot discount what's going on when the 49ers are trying to build that pipeline at the center position. All right, so now we move to tight end, where I just happened to be before I went to San Francisco here for the past 36 hours. I happened to be at the University for tight ends here in Nashville. And these are 49ers tight ends, the four of them that attended. Eric Saubert, George Kittle, Mason Pline, Logan Thomas. You go to the depth chart up there, and, it's anybody's ball game. Braden Willis, I thought, had a nice OTAs, but it's just OTAs. You don't have to put everything fully together during OTAs. And as you can tell from this picture, the 49ers have some big, big tight ends this year. The guys that attended tight end U are huge. They make George Kittle look small, and Kittle's gained back most of the 30 pounds that he lost in muscle weight after the core muscle surgery. Saubert's a big dude. Mason Pline's a really tall guy, 6'7". Logan Thomas about as tall as Pline, 55 catches last year. as much as you prioritize, I mean, maybe that's the wrong choice of words because you don't prioritize it, but as important and as nice as it would be to have a tight end too that can catch the ball more than 11 times in 4 years. And that was the receiving total for Charlie Warner over his 49ers career. I know Logan Thomas had 55 catches for Washington last season. As nice as that would be, blocking comes first. And Thomas, I mean, I saw him at practice and he's working with Brian Fleury. He's working with the tackles who are giving him pointers on the combo blocks. Blocking is not his forte or, his strong suit. He's more of a receiver at the tight end position. He's the guy on the very right of this picture. Mason Pline, new to the position's only been there for a year to two in college after converting from being a college basketball player. So he's going to have to get down the technicalities of blocking. I think somebody like Eric Saubert, he's been around the league since 2017. He knows how to block. Good utility tight end. Obviously, George Kittle is the best there is in the game. But blocking is going to earn a tight end a spot on the field. The 55 catches for Logan Thomas are nice, but he's going to have to technically develop into a blocker for the 49ers at the tight end position in order to unlock the playing time to deliver as a tight end too, who can add to the 49ers pass game. That's the key at the tight end room. Do they have a chance to be better than last year? I think absolutely they have a chance to be better than last year. And that could make this 49ers roster even stronger when we have to look at the way that this team's going to work. Because the way the offense works is, if these guys can run block, if they can grind you down at that tight end position, that opens up the play actions, that opens up the counter strikes a little bit later in the game. I think one spot where the 49ers are, and these are two spots where the 49ers are absolutely stronger and deeper than last year are running back and receiver. I mean, they've added Ricky Pearsall to the receiver room, and they've kept Ayuk, they've kept Deebo Samuel, they've re-signed Jawan Jennings, Danny Gray maybe on the outside looking in. Hell, they even have Trent Taylor. As I talk about the practice squad and I talk about being able to be flexible with this roster. Taylor is somebody who I think is going to be a perfect practice squad player for the 49ers. Nice high floor for the punt returning duties, and you can call him up, you can send him back down, you can do what you need to. I think that he knows the offense. He can also give you a solid slot option in case guys get hurt. But the fact that you're able to stash him here, the fact that you're able to make somebody like Danny Gray, somebody like Ronnie Bell fight for his roster spot, and you've got so many quality vets at the top, Brandon Ayuk, contract drama notwithstanding, that is a deep receiver room. It might be the deepest wide receiver room in all football. It's probably the deepest running back room in all football as well. Elijah Mitchell is a good back. Now, health is wealth for him, but you've drafted Garendo, Cody Schrader, best back in the SEC last year. I mean, somebody like Jordan Mason is going to be fighting for a roster spot, maybe with Patrick Taylor Jr., the veteran, the tallest running back that the 49ers have had out of Green Bay. And then finally, the quarterback position. Purdy, Dobbs, Brandon Allen, Tanner Mordecai. This is where we got to get to the Brock Purdy stat of the day. And I just don't think that people appreciate how good Brock Purdy has been. These are the quarterbacks who have delivered DVOA, which is defense adjusted value over average scores, of over 40% in at least one season over the past 20 years. I want to thank Aaron Schatz, formerly of Football Outsiders, for helping me out here because we had to dig back into his archives to get it. So since 2004, only 5 quarterbacks have logged a score of over 40% above average when it's adjusted for defense. This is an efficiency stat that's a lot better than just yardage or whatever. It's Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, and Brock Purdy. DVOA of over 40%. Purdy this past year, by the way, was 42.5%. I am compiling stats of the best quarterbacks since 2004, or in this century. Let's just put it that way, because some of the stats, some of the advanced stuff doesn't go back much further than that. But we look at guys like Matt Ryan in 2016, also under Kyle Shanahan, Aaron Rodgers in 2011, Peyton Manning in 2004, Tom Brady in 2007, Patrick Mahomes in 2018, and Drew Brees in 2009. Brock Purdy's numbers, the advanced metrics, stack up very favorably against all those quarterbacks. They're not quite at the level of some of the true Hall of Fame guys as far as the single season performance went. And I'll explain a little bit later this week how Purdy can improve and where exactly there is a little bit of slack that can be picked up, but it's damn close. And DVOA wise, at a 42.5% DVOA, Brock Purdy joins absolutely elite company with Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, and Aaron Rodgers. That's who the 49ers have at QB. That makes them one of the strongest teams in the league by default. But the reason they've had the strongest roster is because outside of QB, before they had this kind of stability, before they had this kind of star in Brock Purdy at the quarterback position, outside of QB, the 49ers have built this up to be extremely robust. All right, we're going to open this up for a couple minutes of a 49ers Q and A. Got to get the Q&A title up, and then we're going to get going with this. Then I have to go eat. I do these shows even when I'm tired. We're going to have a lot of sandwich stuff, a lot of San Francisco stuff, a lot of food stuff coming up. Don't you worry about that. But I wanted to land, get a little bit of sleep, organize things, and get you prepared for what's moving forward. And that is the week moving forward. We'll have weekend review tomorrow. And we are currently exactly a month away from training camp. It's going to be July 23rd is veteran report day. July 16th is rookie report day. You like the action figure? It's not, you can't move him around or anything. I call him a statue. It's a mini statue back there. But yeah, post your questions. Is it fiscally responsible for the 49ers to give Ayuk $28 million? The 49ers have not. Okay, so you say when the 49ers have been at the bottom of the league in attempts. The 49ers have not been at the bottom of the league of attempts, especially as Brock Purdy has gotten more and more time. They passed 109 times in the postseason, and they ran 77 times as far as plays that they called. And that wasn't because they were behind all postseason. They were behind in a half against the Lions, and it didn't change their run-pass balance. They weren't in desperation mode in that NFC Championship game. This is a pass-first team. The reason that Brandon Ayuk doesn't get as many targets is because they have a whole lot of other weapons. But that's the beauty of the offense. You get a ton of weapons, space the field out, let Brock Purdy go to work. The 28 million number that you put up there, too, that's a really rudimentary number, and I don't know what it means. Nobody knows what it means. Is it 28 million of funny money? Is it $28 million fully guaranteed every year? Is it something halfway in between? What does the structure look like? The 49ers can afford to pay Brandon Ayuk a fair salary while keeping other guys on the team, while setting themselves up for success in the future. But it has to be constrained within a reasonable amount, and it has to be intelligently structured using some of these option bonuses that push money into the future and take advantage of salary cap inflation. It has to be done correctly so that the team can keep on surfing the wave that it's already been surfing. Ayuk has proven himself to be an A-list player. The 49ers want A-list players. Target share or attempts passing wise, again, this is incorrect on the bottom of the screen, this comment. They're not in the bottom of the league in attempts. They're not in the back half of the league in attempts. They are a pass-first team now. Brandon Ayuk is valuable, but two things can be true at once. He can be extremely valuable, but you still are trying to find the sweet spot that works with your team financially. And guess what? The 49ers have leverage here. So they could find a way to either make Brandon Ayuk accept a fair deal, or they can say, okay, fine. We'd rather have you at 14.1 million this year, which is definitely financially efficient. Guess what? They already have him signed for 14.1 million this season. Dave thinks the BA is going to get his payday. Mike thinks that Ayuk benefits from being on the 49ers wide receiver friendly offense. He would be worse on other offenses. Brandon Ayuk has been sensationally good. I always show you the efficiency and the grades, right? The wide receiver grades, the catch, yak point, and separation, and he's in the upper right. On a snap-by-snap basis, he's been really damn good for the 49ers. There's just a lot of distribution to go around, right? I mean, the 49ers and Brock Purdy, they have to take care of Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, Kyle Juszczyk. You go on and on with this list. So, of course, he's not going to have the same volume. But if we look at it on a per snap basis, Brandon Ayuk has been really, really impressive. Plus, he blocks. Plus, this team is really multifaceted as far as the run-pass balance goes. And Brandon Ayuk is a big part of that. How much has Moody improved? We banged through 250-plus yarders in that Super Bowl. So I think he improved a lot over the course of last season. And then there's the year 1 to year 2 jump. The one thing the 49ers have said is they're really happy that Jake Moody was able to get some time away, reflect on the rookie season, process things, and be ready to come back. An even better kicker in year 2. But I think that year 1 went well for Jake Moody. All right, put more questions into, I'm looking something up right now, but put more questions into that comment section. Mike says Moody is extremely cheap. Everybody should be happy with him. Yeah, I mean, there are teams that are paying over $5 million for a kicker now. The 49ers don't have a lot of wiggle room under the salary cap. We know this. They have to find cost efficiency where they can get it if that star core is going to grow, and it has been growing. And it's going to continue to grow with Brandon Ayuk. This summarizes it well. The 49ers are a balanced team that will take advantage of the weakness of the defense in front of them. I think that really summarizes everything that we talked about well. Hopefully you enjoyed the 53 plus 16-man roster breakdown, so that full 69-man roster breakdown. We looked at every position. Obviously, it's at 90 now, but as we move forward, make sure to keep this focused on who might be able to contribute on the practice squad as well for the 49ers, because that's a lot of what will be determined over the course of training camp. All right, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, do whatever you need to. We will talk to you very soon. Hopefully not too much more thunder and lightning. That was kind of cool for you to be able to pick up in a new mic over the course of the show. We'll talk to you very soon.